as you look into personal finance foundations, one of the things a lot of people start with is sort of an exploration or a reflection on your current attitudes about money and your attitudes or sort of what you've learned about money over time. From Ridge. We're super excited you're here. We're about to start a personal finance series, and there are a lot of places you can go for information and education about finances, so we're super glad you've chosen us. I was thinking we could start with topics about personal finance, and as you look into personal finance foundations, one of the things a lot of people start with is sort of an exploration or a reflection on your current attitudes about money and your attitudes or sort of what you've learned about money over time. For instance, if you grew up in a family where money was a stressor, it can be really common that money is stressful for you now, or you feel anxious about money. I think a lot of people, at least what I see on the interwebs, a lot of people feel stressed about money. It's a topic that they don't enjoy exploring. And anecdotally, like I talk to my girlfriends and they're like, Meg, I know you enjoy finances, but they don't even look at the expenses that happen sometimes. Or they'll do a budget like every quarter or every 6 months or so. I'm in that thing weekly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta know.
I do know. I
But-
have a spreadsheet. Yeah, I've got equations and stuff.
Oh!
It's so exciting.
So growing up, my family, definitely middle class, right? Like we totally had enough money for the things that we needed. I think my parents would have felt like maybe not everything we wanted, but everything we needed. And my mom was going to school when I was really, really young, and so my parents incurred a lot of student loan debt as I was growing up. And so money was was stressful for my family. Both parents grew up pretty poor, mom urban poor, dad like country poor. So money was really stressful for them. So I grew up with money as a really stressful topic. And the idea that debt is really stressful as well. And then in my senior year of high school, I went through the personal finance class that's required. They did Dave Ramsey. And I'd heard of Dave Ramsey before, and my parents had talked about it, but weren't fanatical about it, I guess. And I went through it and I really enjoyed it. It made a lot of sense to me what I was seeing because I had seen stress from money growing up. What Dave Ramsey was saying made a lot of sense to me. So from the time I was a senior, I really tried to apply a lot of Dave Ramsey's principles. So anyway, that's kind of my background with money.
Do you feel that now you have a good relationship with money? Or have you really unpacked everything?
I do feel like I have a good relationship with money, but I will say I got married 3 years ago, and combining expenses getting married changes things.
Good or bad? Or just change?
Neither.
Okay.
It's just unpacking it with my husband now.
I grew up in a sometimes single, sometimes dual parent home, but lower class for sure. Food, we were on food stamps my whole childhood. I remember going to school, elementary school, and the secretary of the school, inviting me into the office to show me the tree, because it was like at Christmas time they do the what is it even called? They put tags, names on the tree, or they just describe who it's for. And so we got presents at Christmas time from the Christmas tree program, whatever it's called. And I remember one time she's like, "Oh, we put in an extra one for you." And it's not just me; I have siblings as well. But I remember that conversation. And so I grew up. When I was young, I had a paper route. I started working, trying to earn money. I had a friend whose father was a car salesman, and they had more money than us. I don't know if they had lots of money, but it felt like they had more money. And I just, when I was young, that age, I was conscious of that, and I just had this goal from then on. I'm gonna grow up not poor. That was my goal.
Yeah.
So I put Rich Dad Poor Dad on the table here because I knew nothing about money, really, even all the way through college until I was married. A year or two after I was married, I was walking through a bookstore while my wife was going to a conference, and I saw this book and I thought it was interesting, it looked interesting, and that's the first introduction I had to personal finance. So never learned about it in school as far as I'm aware. I guess I could have been ADHD type something and not paying attention and why do these kids never learn? Because we don't pay attention, I guess.
Yeah.
Could have happened, I don't know. But I've just been down a journey of understanding my own concept of money in general. Like I've studied law, and I was doing mergers and acquisitions law and securities law, and working on deals where it was tens of millions of dollars for a deal. And, I could recognize feelings like, this is so much money, and not realizing that to a lot of people, though, that's not a lot of money. This is a small deal. I was like, oh, this is still small stuff. And so there's, a lot of adjustments in my own attitude and my own understanding of what is abundance, what is a lot, what is good, etc. Just gone through a lot,
Yeah. So will you walk us through some of the other either books, influencers, programs, kind of stuff that you have in addition to your career in mergers and acquisitions and securities?
Sure. Again, so it started with Rich Dad Poor Dad. I remember reading a guy who wrote a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He talks about having done like business during college and getting really wealthy through the principles that he's teaching now. And I've done stock trading. There's the guy, like I took a course, I bought a course from a guy who said that he got like tens of thousands of dollars for his bar mitzvah. Is that when they turned like 15, 16, something like that? Okay. So, and then he stock traded, and ended up, making $1 million eventually. And so I've done a lot of offshoots of that. In the background here we have some business books, and we actually have a real bookshelf with lots of books over here.
I promise we have a real bookshelf.
Exactly. We have this bookshelf behind us, and I've read a lot of these books, and sometimes it's about money, but sometimes it's just about business and entrepreneurship, and I think they all teach similar principles. And so I can't go down a further path than that to be specific, because those were the first ones and the ones that I remember really well, but it's been dozens and dozens of books, courses online, and then
professional
law school,
experience.
business. You were going to mention, I think, this idea of being intentional. So did you want to talk about that now? Because I think mine plays off of a little different aspect of
Sure.
that.
Just trying to be intentional, seeking out education, learning from people who've been there, even if you don't adopt all of their principles, which we'll talk about more in this series, who we are following and not. I think that's really important for your finances, to just try to be intentional about it, and as Dave Ramsey says, tell your money where to go.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it just goes.
We're going to do an episode about that, right? Or
We
is that later
sure
in
are.
this conversation?
So I didn't know the process of investing. Then I got my own brokerage accounts through Vanguard, and I was like, is this easy? You're telling me, is this easy? And so to be able to offer that knowledge to people is kind of my purpose behind this, to be intentional about using what I've gotten. I mean, this is the purpose behind our company, really, is to use the knowledge that we have and the things we've been given to help other people in their journey, and hopefully expedite their journey a little bit. So with my hope for this series is that we can talk about being intentional with your money, talk through the things that we've found that work for us, recommend other people to look for other solutions, and help people
Okay.
do money well.
And I know some of what we were chatting about before was the idea that you had brought up already of the ideas that we have about money, and that we should talk about that from the perspective of being able to be intentional by knowing that you've already been conditioned and trained. And so in order to progress, I'm going to say, we want to understand that and try to figure out, internalize, like, I think that's the invitation to the audiences, to internalize what were they taught and how were they taught it, and then adjust. Now, from my perspective, I was never taught that idea per se. I mean, it came way down the line. And the influence that I had about educating myself financially came from that boyhood goal of not being poor, seeing something that kind of, I guess it followed that premise, and just became an inspiration, and then started retraining my mind about money. And so that happened without talking about retraining. It just did because I was immersing myself in that information.
Sure.
And so I don't know if someone has to be conscious of it. I do think it would probably speed up, like you're saying. And so hopefully this can provide an avenue for people doing that.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good potential segment, or, you know, you audience members, if you're watching and you have a question, talking about your situation and want to understand what it might have been that you were taught. Because again, I was taught nothing. It's just what I observed.
Yeah.
And you know, never had money, didn't have a lot. Like, I didn't actually have birthdays, as far as I recall, because my birthday was right next to Halloween, and so I got Halloween costumes as a gift to then wear for Halloween, you know. And I think you know, people might be curious about, well, what is the experience that they had, what has it led to, and maybe how to readjust from that. So please add questions, you know, to the comments, or send us in. You know, we'll probably have an email or something, I guess, where we would take comments.
We can totally do that.
Yeah. So maybe just support@ridgecf.com.
Yep. We'll also see it in the comments of the YouTube channel, so if they want to leave comments at the bottom there, that's great, or on LinkedIn or Facebook, any of those avenues. Thanks, guys, for listening.
The content in this video is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. Investing in securities involves risk, including the potential loss of your entire investment. Always conduct your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor or legal professional before making any investment decisions. The opinions expressed in this video are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views of Ridge, Angel Funding, or VAS Portal.
Do it. It's Fred and Meg in the morning. Welcome to our show.
In the morning.
That's it.